to another episode of the Cozy Cottage Crochet Podcast. My name is Hannah and I am coming to you as always from St. Petersburg, Florida in the United States where I live. You may notice that the setup is slightly different today. That is because I am hiding in my bedroom. So it's actually Friday when I am recording this. This episode will go up tomorrow, which is Saturday. Normally I record on Saturdays, but I will not be home tomorrow, so I've got to go ahead and do this today, and I've got the day off today, which is fabulous. So my husband works from home, so I cannot take over the kitchen table and record a podcast right next to him when he's 3 feet away trying to do actual work. So hopefully the lighting will be okay. Next time we should be back to our regularly scheduled programming. I want to say before we begin a huge hello and welcome to all of my returning viewers. Thank you so much for coming back. And for any new viewers, if this is your first time, hi! I'm so glad you're here. You can find me on all of the social medias as The Cozy Cottage Crochet, although I am most active on Instagram, and I am also on Ravelry. It's just The Cozy Cottage because, fun fact, Ravelry has a character limit in their usernames, so I could not put The Cozy Cottage Crochet. It was too long. If you have any questions about the podcast specifically or any inquiries related to the podcast, please do shoot me an email. I have an email address specifically set up for this podcast. It is called thecozycottagecrochet@gmail.com. So without further ado, let's jump right in to a section that has not made an appearance in a while, and that is, what am I wearing? This is my granny triangle shawl made out of mandala yarn. I believe the colorway is Chimera. This is one of my go-to shawls, so if it is a little bit chilly or I just want to feel fabulous, and I have a whole box full of shawls now because I've been making them for myself all year, and if I don't know which one to pick or I don't have something that really matches, this is the one that I go for. It is a simple granny triangle pattern. I think it looks like a sunset, so I call it my sunset shawl, and it's very soft, it's very drapey. I have nothing but good things to say about it, and I'm happy every time I wear it. I just love it. So if you have a chance to get a hold of some Lion Brand mandala yarn, this is just one ball. So I think I had maybe just a little bit left, and I ran out, and it's the perfect size. So that's what I am wearing. It's been a crazy couple of weeks, you guys. I had my last day at my previous job last Friday, and then I've been spending all week at my new job, which I will talk about at the end of this episode if you are interested in that. School, I'm in grad school. I have one more week, literally one more week, because next Friday is the last day. So I'm a little tired. I have not had a ton of crochet time. In fact, I am hopelessly behind on podcasts, which is really upsetting because I feel like I'm missing out. I have not turned on my computer for anything crochet related in over a week. So it's crazy. However, I do have a finished object, and some of you will have seen this because I've posted a couple of Vlogmas videos. Now, I'm not going to do Vlogmas every day in December. I don't have time. I really don't have time, and I don't know, I'm not that great yet at filming Vlogmas videos. However, my goal is to have about 15 of them by the end of December, and I will probably post more once school is out next week. But I finished my In Bud shawl. So this is a pattern by Joanne's Grace. It is out of the Crochet Project book, the Shawl Project Book 3. And it is amazing. I have worn this twice. I wore it on Saturday last week and on Sunday, both the Christmas parties. This is both La Jolla yarn. I don't remember what this colorway is called, and you know what? The tag is in the living room. I know that this one is called Blueberry Waffle. So I wove in all the ends that I was complaining about last time. And it's so pretty. I am in love with it. And this is the first shawl that I have made for myself out of what I would consider to be fancy yarn, because it's indie dyed. I got it at my local yarn store. It's 100% superwash merino, and it is very soft, so it actually did not irritate me. I only felt a little bit of prickliness when I got really warm at the first Christmas party I went to because I was running around like a crazy person. So I got a little bit warm and then it felt a little prickly on my neck, but overall it did not bother me at all. I love the stitch pattern. Now, this is the front, because what we have here is all these little stripes, and then these are the little buds. They're little puff stitches. Let me see if I can give you a close-up. Puff stitch. So those are the little buds, and then this is the back. You could actually wear this the opposite way. I think it's perfectly reversible if you did not want the buds to show. So I've never made a scarf or a shawl or anything for myself out of fancy yarn and kept it. It's always been gifted to other people, and I'm so happy with this. I love a cheap yarn. You guys know I love a good cheap yarn. And I mean, this mandala yarn, this whole shawl cost $5. This shawl cost $60. Just being honest, that's how much I paid for the yarn. But there's really no comparison. And it was such a joy to work with this yarn. Crocheting with it was a breeze. It didn't split, it didn't tangle, it didn't fuzz up. It was just wonderful all around. The colorway is so beautiful. And overall, I'm just so thrilled that I had the opportunity to work with this yarn and make this beautiful shawl, because I have wanted to make the shawls out of the shawl project book for quite some time now. I am going to eventually make all 5. I already have 2 more in the works. Well, not in the works, they're in a bag. No new projects really have been started, but I'm very happy with this. So if you're looking for a simple shawl project, I highly recommend the In Bud shawl. It's all half double crochets, and these short rows are single crochets. It's very detailed and very well explained in the pattern. So I'm very happy with this. I have nothing but positive things to say about it. I'm going to be wearing it a lot come when it gets slightly colder, because you know what's warmer than acrylic yarn? Wool. Wool, you guys. This is 100% wool. And I'm going to put it on just so you can see it, and because I love it, so I'm going to wear it right now. That's called a shawl change in the middle of a podcast episode. So it's perfect. I couldn't be more happy with this. That is my only finished object. So we are going to go ahead and move on to works in progress. I do have 2. One of them got pulled out. It has been in hibernation for the last few episodes because I honestly got a little bit tired of it. It's my lace weight, what was I thinking? Leaf Lines shawl, which is a free pattern on Ravelry by Aparna Rolfe. I got to about 5 rows from the end, and then I just quit making it for over a month. I have not touched the shawl. But I want to start so many new projects as soon as school is over, and I can't very well do that with this shawl weighing on my conscience because it was so close to being completed. So I picked it out this week. It's pretty much the only thing I've been working on. I have one other project, but it barely got a start. And I finished all of the rows, the plain yarn rows, and now I am on to the beading. So this is what it looks like. This is how big it is now. Remember at the very beginning I said I was a little concerned about it because it was so small. And someone had warned me about how small it was at the beginning. It's still slightly small, however, I think that once it's blocked, it's really gonna grow a little bit. I don't want it to grow too much because I don't wanna lose the definition in the leaves. So the more you stretch it out, the less you can see that all of these wonderful front post, back post, double crochet patterns. So I'm on to the beading. You guys, beading the shawl was not a great idea. If I never see a tiny, tiny pink seed bead again, I will be thrilled. It took so long, and these tiny beads go everywhere. Now, I fully admit that this is supposed to be a fingering weight shawl, and I'm making it with lace weight, so there's that. Second of all, I'm using the wrong size seed beads because I am pretty sure that you are supposed to use a larger seed bead for this. It doesn't really tell you, it just says seed beads, and they didn't really have any larger ones at Michael's when I was there. They only had these little bitty ones that you can barely see. Those were the only pink ones they had. So what you have to do is put about 13 beads per leaf edge, and then you put a couple in between, and then you put 13 more. I was using a very tiny hook to bead them. It's so tiny you can't even see it. Like, that is really sharp. It's got this little cover on it so you don't, so it doesn't poke through your bag or break, or you stab your eye out or something. So I have finished all of the beading on this bottom edge, and you really can't see it because it's not blocked yet, but if I get really close, you can see the beads right there along the edge, kind of shiny. And then it has you go across the top. So I'm about here. I have this much more to do before it will be finished, before I can wash and block it. These beads, I feel like they show up a little bit better because they're pretty regular and you can see them. And maybe the beads will show up a little more when it's actually blocked. I don't know. This is Knit Picks 100% baby alpaca yarn in the colorway Rose. Oh, that's really blowing out. I'm sorry. I'll just tell you what it is. It's lace weight yarn. It's 440 yards for 100 grams, colorway Rose. It's 100% baby alpaca. I got this yarn when it was discontinued on sale, so it was only about $4 per ball. I ordered 3 balls. I still have one whole ball that is not been touched, and this much left. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with 1 1/3 balls of lace weight alpaca yarn, but I'll think of something. So you can't really tell about the beads. I'm thinking you will be able to next time, and I know that the beads were added to add some weight to the shawl. However, they're so tiny that I don't feel like they've added any weight. Maybe if I had used bigger ones, but this color is everything. It gives me life. I cannot wait till this is done. Now that it's so close to being done, I'm so excited because I really want to wear it. It's hot pink. It's so hot pink that it's blowing out the camera right now, and I don't know where to position it. Like right here is okay, but if I do this, it kind of blows out, and it really is this pink in real life. It's so soft. I love alpaca. It was so inexpensive. So if I only use 1.5 balls, this whole shawl would have cost $6 because the pattern was free. And the pattern is so well written. I've never had any questions about what I'm supposed to be doing at a given time. So I highly recommend that you download it. I do not recommend that you make this in a lace weight yarn, okay? Because it will take you forever, and then also you will get tired of it and then take a break for like 1.5 months on working on this shawl. And if you're going to bead, I recommend using larger seed beads. Like, you can't even see them from here. You'd have to be right on top of it to see the beads. But it's almost done. And as soon as it's done, then I'm going to go crazy and cast on, chain, everything under the sun. I actually lied earlier when I said I only had 1 finished object. That's not entirely true. I have what would normally be called a half object. I am calling it a finished object, even though the ends are not woven in. And it is the sock I was knitting on last time. Now, the reason I'm calling this a finished object is because it is too small, and I'm not going to make a second one. I know. I thought that I would really, really like the Rose City roller pattern, but I really don't. And I feel kind of bad for saying that because it's a very well written pattern. I had no problems following it, but I don't really like this. I think that I want my socks to have an actual cuff. So I fully understand that I could unpick the toe on this because it's not quite long enough for my foot. I thought that I started the decreases at the right spot. So it says in the pattern to start the decreases when you are about 2 inches from the top of your big toe, which is what I did, but it still turned out it's too small. Like, it's very uncomfortable to wear. But having it on, I wore it around for a little bit and just squished my toes. I don't really like this cuff. I don't like it. And I have always looked at these socks and thought that I would love it. And I guess I didn't. I don't know. So I'm calling this a FO, but it's an FO because it's now like a sock puppet. A sock puppet, because I'm not going to make another one. I'm not going to unpick the toe and make it longer because I would not wear this sock. Now, maybe I need just a different pattern. So not only was it too small lengthwise, which is easily fixed, it was a little bit tight around my actual foot as well. And I knit and crochet very tightly. I have a tight gauge. So the easiest way to fix that would be to go up a needle size. I have some ChowGu 9-inch circulars that are 2.25 millimeters. I don't have a 2.5 millimeter needle. So the only way, or a 2.75 millimeter needle for that matter, I only have one 2.25 millimeter 9-inch circular. So the easiest thing to do would be to go up a needle size, but I can't do that. So I'm thinking I may need to find a pattern that has a few more stitches, maybe four more stitches. I mean, I could just increase by 4, right? Or would that throw out the stitch count? I don't know. I don't know how to knit socks. I'm very proud of it because I know it's one little sad sock that doesn't fit. However, I think I knit this whole thing in the span of a week and a half, maybe, working on it on and off. And I did a long tail cast on, I did heel decreases, I did these gusset decreases, and I'm pretty proud of it. And this sock served its purpose. So the reason I started knitting this sock is because A, I wanted to knit a sock, but B, I was feeling really anxious when I was in Texas and I was homesick and I just needed something to take my mind off of the fact that I wasn't home and it was the holidays and school was stressing me out, and this did that. So despite the fact that this sock doesn't fit, it represents a lot of many hours of calming my anxiety, which is completely necessary. So I'm pretty happy with it. It's just, there's never going to be a second one. Not of this pattern. So I don't know what I'm going to do with the yarn. I don't really want to rip it out because the sock means something to me, but I also I wouldn't have enough yarn probably to make another pair of socks out of what I have left. So I don't know, we'll see. I'm going to put it in the closet and think about it for a while. I don't know why I don't like this pattern. I think I would just like it if it had a little cuff. And this is a very, very thick, warm sock. Like, I don't know that I would be able to wear this inside shoes in Florida. Maybe boots for the couple of days a year that it gets cold. But I think more than likely I would probably wear this around the house. It's almost like a slipper to me. Like, my socks that I wear in my regular shoes are really thin. Because, it's hot outside. In fact, it's supposed to be 80 today. It's December. It's December, you guys. It's supposed to be in the 80s. It's been very hot all week. So, one little sock. Slightly sad, but also I'm really happy with it. I do have one other work in progress, and it is a new whip that I just started this week because the only whip that I currently had was that leafline shawl, and I cannot take it anywhere with that beading. The pink beads go everywhere. I cannot seem to hang on to them. So there's no way I could have taken that to work. So what I did instead was I pulled out this bag, which was made for me by my lovely friend Amy. Hi, Amy. It's green and pink with flowers, and it's got this canvas on the inside, and it has a wonderful little lavender sachet that makes the yarn smell amazing. So I have had this yarn in this bag for several months now, waiting for when I could actually pull it out and start this project with the pattern and everything. So this is the Lila Berry shawl, which is a free pattern by Kristen Omdahl on her website. You can just download it and print it off. I am using Knit Pick Stroll Glimmer, which is 70% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and 5% stellina. You get 231 yards and 50 grams, and look at how sparkly that is. It's amazing. So I've known that I wanted to make this shawl out of this yarn for several months now. I just haven't gotten around to it. So let me show you the tiny, tiny bit of work that got done. That's it. That's maybe 12 rows. It's got basically these little berry shapes, little peacock shapes, and that's what goes throughout the whole shawl, and then lace panels in between. So it's kind of scrunched up right now, but when it is blocked, it's going to be very open and very lacy. Oh, I'm all tangled. I have a stitch marker holding my place, which is like a oil slick bead. This yarn, I've never worked with Knit Pick Stroll before. It is very soft. And Knit Pick Stroll is also something that's very, very inexpensive off of their website. I'm really happy with it. A lot of times when you work with stellina in yarn, the yarn can be very splitty, or the stellina itself just breaks, and when you're twisting the yarn around your hook, the stellina will break and then start poking out of your project. I have not had any issues like that with this. I've been very happy with it so far, even though such a tiny little bit is done. Can you tell my favorite color is blue? I'm gonna make all the blue things. So, I mean, the pattern is written very well. Also, I haven't had any issues with it so far. It's mostly just chains, single and double crochets in different places. So I'm happy with it. Hopefully I'll have some progress to show you next time. But who knows, because I really want to make about 1 billion things. So that's all the yarn. That's all that I have been crocheting on and working on over the last 2 weeks. However, I do have some acquisitions to show you. So I have a Happy Yarn Mail segment. Some fantastic things to show you. One, well, it's a lot of sock yarn, a lot of fingering weight yarn. Was a Get Your Yarn Wishes Granted came in the mail to me from Josephine, who is Pearl Mama. She sent me this skein of yarn, which is local to her. She lives in Canada, and it's called, I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see this. It's called the Yarn Enabler, which I think is hilarious. So the Yarn Enabler is a local company to her. It is 420 yards for 115 grams, and it's an 80-20 merino nylon blend in the colorway Purple Rain, which it's so soft. Like, it's such a muted purple color. It's so beautiful. I don't know what I'm gonna make with this, but it's so special to have a skein of this in my stash because it's something that was local to someone, so it's probably not something I can get here. The name is fantastic and the color is just gorgeous. I look at this and I think springtime, which we don't really get springtime in Florida either. Basically, our seasons are in Florida: summer, almost summer, and Christmas. That's what we get. We get summer, almost summer, and Christmas. Almost summer is slightly cooler. So for example, it might get into the 70s tonight, where in the summer it stays 80, 90 degrees all night long. At 4 a.m. you could be outside and it'll still be hot. So, you know, we don't really get springtime, but this to me looks like springtime. Second, I received a lovely parcel in the mail from Lacey, who is hooked on owls. She made 8 shawls for the September Shawl Along Cal, and so I had sent her something, and she sent me back a skein of Wonderland yarns in the colorway Cheshire Cat. Is it Cheshire? Cheshire? Or I always have said Cheshire, but I'm sure that that's incorrect. I've noticed that I say a lot of words incorrectly because I've never heard them said. I've only read them. I think that's a problem when you grow up reading. If there can be any problem when you grow up reading tons and tons of books, is that you have to figure out how words sound in your own head, and then you say them that way, and then people are like, what? That's not a word, because you didn't pronounce it correctly. So this is 512 yards. It's 100% superwash merino. It is dyed and spun in the US. And it's got a Lewis Carroll quote on it that says, "If I had a world of my own, everything would be nonsense." And he is the author of Alice in Wonderland. So I just think that that's the neatest. And this yarn is amazing. It's so fluffy. And I don't know what I'm going to make with this either. It's going to live in my stash with this one right next to it. And every time I'm going to go in there, I'm going to touch it because it's so soft. And I'm just going to think until I find the perfect project for this yarn. So thank you so much, Lacey. She also sent me 2 awesome little Notions pouches and some tea, which I already drank because it was delicious. Next is, I actually have made some purchases. One I purchased from Expression Fiber Arts I have officially sent off to their homes all of my Christmas commissions. So I no longer have any projects that have to be done before Christmas, and so therefore I've been paid for them. And this is something that I ordered because I've always wanted to try a skein of Expression Fiber Arts yarn. I like them on Instagram and Facebook, and they're always posting beautiful pictures. Now, someone had told me that their pictures are not really true to what the actual yarn looks like, so I purchased this with that knowledge. This is called Tropical Fish. It is 400 yards for, I'm assuming it's 100 grams, but it doesn't say. And it's 100% superwash merino. Now this yarn is I don't know how well you can see this. It's very high twist. Probably not very well. Compared to this, the Expression Fiber Arts yarn is very, very tightly wound. I saw this on their website and I knew that this is the one I wanted to get. Now I will say that this is darker than the picture that they showed on their website. But I already knew that their pictures were not quite the same because someone had warned me. That doesn't mean that I don't love this. I really do love this colorway. I think it's a beautiful jewel-toned, rainbow-colored yarn, and it does look like Tropical Fish to me. With the orange and the pink and the blue and the yellow. I really like it. However, it doesn't quite look like their photo. So just be aware if you're going to purchase from them that the yarn may show up looking slightly different. I'm not disappointed. But if I were purchasing this to maybe go with another project, then perhaps it could have been an issue. But, I mean, you can't go wrong with that, can you? It's so bright. So that was the first purchase I made. The second purchase was when I got back from Texas, I went to my local yarn store, which is Stash, a place for yarn in St. Petersburg, because I hadn't been in quite a while, and it was Small Business Saturday. And I didn't actually get to go on the actual Small Business Saturday because we were out of town for Thanksgiving, but I wanted to go and support them because I love, I love my local yarn store. I go to Knit Night there all the time now, and it's just a wonderful thing. So I went and specifically to purchase something from her. Now, when I got there, she follows me on Instagram and noticed the Get Your Yarn Wishes Granted campaign, and so she granted a yarn wish and gave me some minis, which I think are super cool. This one's like a little, it reminds me of tweed, although it's not actually tweed yarn. There's this one, this cool yellow, and then a mustard. So she granted a yarn wish to me and a little package of soak, which is a wool wash. So that was very, very sweet. Thank you so much. Kristen is the owner of that shop, and she's fabulous. And if you are in St. Petersburg, you should stop by her store and check it out because I love that store. And they have an online presence as well. I'll put the link down below. And you can get pretty much all of the yarn online as well. So I purchased two things because I wanted to support. One of them is Malabrigo. I have been wanting some Malabrigo sock yarn for quite some time now. And this is the colorway Wales Road. Malabrigo sock. Their sock yarn is 100% superwash merino. It's kettle dyed. You can tell, I feel like I can pick out Malabrigo out of a yarn lineup because they just have such a unique way of dyeing their yarn. So this is a blue that goes into purple, different blues. This is so beautiful. This is probably going to end up as a shawl. Their yarn is incredibly soft, and I don't know if I'm going to pair it with another yarn or eventually get some more Malabrigo, but they have quite a bit of Malabrigo yarn at the yarn store, and I've been eyeing this one for a while, so I'm very happy with that. And then second, I got a double whammy because I got to support my local yarn store, and also I got to support a local dyer. We have a dyer in Tampa, Florida, which is about 20 miles away from where I live, and she has a company called Fiberseed. And Fiberseed yarns, this is her Sprout sock base, which is 90% merino, 10% nylon. This is a big skein. So you actually get 136 grams and 510 yards. So it's slightly more expensive than I would say a regular sock yarn, but I don't even know because this Malabrigo was $20, but a skein of like La Jolla yarn would be $30. This is only $32, and you get significantly more. This is the colorway Witch. Oh, this is completely out of my color comfort zone. This is not something I would normally buy, but I saw it and it spoke to me. It's so autumnal, and I love the purple and the green. It's amazing. This is the first one that I saw. It immediately drew my eye, and then I was like, no, that's not my color. What am I gonna do with that? That's ridiculous. And then I came back to it, and I came back to it, and I came back to it, and then I bought it because it's amazing. So Fiberseed yarn, I haven't actually used it yet. This will be my first skein, but I'm very excited to use it because she is a local dyer, and I just think it's fabulous. So those were my Small Business Saturday purchases. And then I have one other thing to show you, which is it was made possible by my lovely yarn friend, Barb. Hi, Barb. She sent me a Knit Picks gift card. And what I purchased with that gift card is going to change my life. In fact, it already has. If you've watched my Vlogmas video from a couple of days ago, you will see what already happened, because I now am the proud owner of an official yarn ball winder. I used to wind hanks of yarn by hand because I did not have a ball winder. So, for example, this Knit Picks Baby Alpaca was hand wound. This is lace weight yarn, 440 yards. It took me like an hour to wind this into a ball. Last night, 2 nights ago, I wound 5 skeins of yarn in 1 hour. And it wouldn't even have taken that long, except that one black skein of yarn that I was winding was particularly uncooperative. And it did not want to wind, and it got very tangled, and I eventually just had to take it off the ball winder and hand wind that one because it was a mess. But 5 in an hour, it's changing my life. And it makes beautiful yarn cakes, which, if you've ever had a tangle problem, you will know that a wonderful outside or center pool yarn cake is a thing of beauty and a joy forever. So this is what it looks like. It clamps onto a table. You thread the yarn through this little tension arm, and then you just start winding. And it goes around and around and around and makes a yarn cake. I'm not going to wind it too much because it's slightly squeaky. I think it needs a little oil. It's a little squeaky, so I'm not going to wind it in the podcast, but I am so happy. It's going to change my life forever. It already has. It's going to save me so much time, and also winding yarn cakes is fun. I had a great time. I stood there for an hour, and my husband was like, "What are you doing?" Yes, I'm making yarn cakes because that's who I am as a person. With that yarn ball winder, I also ordered some yarn from Knit Picks. So I wanted a skein of the stroll fingering because I've never tried it before. Now their stroll fingering yarn, this is their stroll sock yarn. This is the hand-painted stroll fingering yarn, which I think is fabulous. I saw it on their website and I was like, well, let me try it because look at those colors. They're amazing. And you get 462 yards in 100 grams. And this is pretty inexpensive yarn, comparatively. And then I also ordered, this is funny, I actually have to call them because they sent me the wrong thing, some comfy fingering yarn, because specifically for Florida. This is Pima cotton and acrylic, 75% cotton, 25% acrylic, in Douglas fir and hollyberry, which are Christmas colorways. So they were supposed to send me 2 balls of the red and 2 of the green, but I got 2 balls of the red, 1 green, and 1 random ball of Comfy Sport in blue. So it's a different color and it's a different weight. So I have to call them and tell them that they sent me the wrong thing. But this is also pretty soft. I just need another ball of the green so that I can actually make a project out of this, because these are only 50-gram balls. So you need a little bit more. I'm thinking of making some kind of striped red and green shawl for Christmas. Although, is it going to get done by Christmas? No, but maybe next year. And I am not above wearing a Christmas shawl all year round. I also got to try some of their sock yarn, which I haven't actually tried it yet. It just got here the other day. I've heard nothing but good things about Knit Picks Felici yarn, which is a 75-25 merino nylon blend. You get, this again comes in 50-gram balls. You get about 218 yards per. So I got some. This is a self-striping yarn, which is awesome. Now, it's not going to self-stripe necessarily on a shawl, but it will create more solid lines of color as opposed to random pooling. So this one doesn't have the name of it. They don't have the names. They had them on the website and they were really fun names, but they don't have the names on the ball band. So this is one. This is my favorite. These were all discontinued colorways, so they're not going to be sold anymore, which means they were on sale. And then this one right here. So I'm really excited. Now I have so much yarn to play with and no time to play with it. At least for another week. So that is all my happy yarn mail. I sent off today the very last Get Your Yarn Wishes Granted package that I was able to grant someone. So it's just been so wonderful. Not just because I've received some lovely sock yarn, but also because I love granting wishes. I love giving presents to people, especially if it's something that I had in my stash that I haven't been able to use, because that's like, for example, this yarn and some other yarn that people have sent me, they've had in their stash and they haven't used it, and they're sending it to me because I will use it and love it and give it a purpose. The same goes the opposite direction. I have something in my stash that I am not giving any love to, that I know someone else will appreciate and just give the project that it deserves to that yarn. It makes me so happy to send out yarn. So I've sent out some yarn, I've sent out some stitch markers, and I'm just really thrilled. I think everyone has received their crochet along prizes already, which makes me very happy. And it's all wrapped up just in time for Christmas. It's officially Christmas. I am way behind this year because it's like December, I don't know what day it is. I really have no idea. It's probably December 8th, but I don't have my Christmas tree up. Normally the Christmas tree goes up the week of Thanksgiving. Is it up? No. I might put the Christmas tree up today. Maybe, maybe not. In fact, let's move on to life update because I have a lot to talk about. Now, I just want to preface this by saying that I will be probably a little bit emotional about this, and I will be talking about religion and church because that is it's a significant part of my life, and it is now part of my new job. Well, it's my whole new job. So if that is not something you are interested in, that's okay. I'm not offended. If you're just here for the yarny bits, I hope you have the most wonderful next 2 weeks and you have the best crafting time, and I'm so appreciative that you spent a little bit of time with me. But if that does not bother you, if you don't mind hearing all about religion and church and potentially me going a little bit crazy, then stick around because I have a lot to tell you. On Friday last week was my last day at my current job. Well, not my current job, my prior job now. And what I used to do, it's so crazy to even say I used to do that because it doesn't feel like it's been that long. I used to be a trainer for an auto insurance company. So we did auto insurance claims. I've been working there for 5 years. Before that, I worked for a different auto insurance company doing claims. And pretty much no one when they're growing up is like, oh, you know what I want to be when I grow up? An insurance adjuster. No one says that. However, it is a fairly good career path. Not because it's a great job, but because everyone has to have auto insurance. So everyone is always getting in accidents. So somebody has to be there to handle the claims. Now, the problem with auto insurance is they pay you just enough to where you can't leave unless you want to take a pay cut. But it's not like it's amazing pay. But I did that for several years, and then I had the opportunity to become a trainer for the company that I worked with. And that was where I traveled around, and I went to California and Austin, Texas, and New Jersey, because that's where our offices were. And so I did that for 2 years. And then this year, something kind of opened up for me that I was not expecting, and it has changed my whole life. So I was able to put in my notice at the auto insurance company amicably. I have no complaints about them because they employed me for 5 years. I worked with some really incredible people, and I got very emotional on Friday when I left. So Friday I left, and then the next day, Saturday, was that company's Christmas party, which I had already RSVP'd to because they sent out the invitations like months before. So I got to go to that and officially say goodbye to everyone, which was really good for me. It gave me some closure. And then the very next day, I started my new job. And I worked 12 hours, 12 and a half hours on that Sunday. And then Monday through Thursday this week as well. And my new job is, and I don't even know how to say this because it's so surprising to me that this has happened, and I'm so thrilled and I'm so excited that basically I've just been freaking out for a week. So I am now a pastor at a church in Tampa that I have been attending for 6 years, and I am taking over basically all of the small group stuff, so connection groups and Bible study groups and things like that, as well as all of the first impressions and volunteers, anybody related to that. So that's what I will be handling. I'm not the lead pastor, but I'm on staff as a pastor at this church. So it's kind of like a dream come true for me, except years ago I didn't know that this was my dream, if that makes sense. So I have been working on my degree for quite some time. My undergraduate degree is in church ministry, and then I have a master's degree in ministerial leadership already, and my goal was to pursue PhD work in theology, and that is still my goal. But the purpose of that was to teach at the college level, which you can't really do. You're not really probably going to get a full-time position without a PhD, or at least to be working on one. And the master's degree that I already have is in leadership, so it wouldn't really get me into the PhD program that I wanted to be in. So I then, after we got married, started on a second master's program, which is a Master of Arts in Theological Studies. And I have been working on that for 5 years. It's only a 60 credit hour degree, but of course I've been working full time, and I have church responsibilities every week and family responsibilities and things like that. So I was only taking about 2 classes a semester, spring and fall. So that's why it's taken 5 years. I did take a year off in the middle because I made a horrible mistake of taking Greek online. That was a bad idea. I squeaked out an A in that class, but I also don't know any Greek. So I'm not sure. That was a really rough semester. So I took some time off after that, and then I went back, and now I am this close to being done with that degree. So I won't officially graduate until May. That's when the commencement ceremony is, but I will be done with everything next Friday, 7 days from now. And I can't really believe that that's happening either, because this has been such a part of my life. Basically the whole time my husband and I have been married. I've been in school, and I'm going to take a break after Friday, because I now have the opportunity to use and put into practice what I've been learning for years. For 10 years now, I've been in school in the college level, and longer than that, 11 years, 12 years. And I do some teaching at the college level. I'm an adjunct professor, and I do some online work for a university. So that is great. And I still am planning to enter into a PhD program at some time. However, I'm tired. I'm really tired. It's been an incredibly long 5 years to get to this point. If I had known how long it was going to be and how much of a struggle it was going to be, I don't know if I would have started. And I'm really glad I didn't know, because now I'm at a point in my life where I get to be on staff at a church that I love, because I've been going there for 6 years. I believe in what they're doing. I'm excited, and I feel like I can make a difference. I'm going to be doing something that really matters, and not that auto insurance claims don't matter, because they do. When someone gets in an accident and you have to talk to someone, the person on the other end of the line is a big deal. But to me, this is just a completely different level of responsibility. And I'm so excited that I can't stand it. But also, I am so tired from school that I'm having like these wild emotional swings. So I'll be like manic 1 second, like so excited that I'm like vibrating. And then the next minute I'll just be like asleep on the couch. I have the end of semester tiredness, which I know what that feels like because I've been doing this for 5 years. But it's more this semester because I'm taking 3 classes, whereas I normally only would take 2, because I know how much I can handle, and 2 in working full time is about what I can handle. So I had to take 3 so I could be done on Friday. 1 class has been completely wrapped up. I submitted a huge project for it on Wednesday. It was about 25 pages long, and that was causing me a lot of anxiety, so I'm really glad that that's done. I have another paper to write and then a huge final to take, and those are the only 2 things that stand between me and graduating. So I'm having a little bit of senioritis. The absolute last thing I want to do is open a textbook right now. That doesn't mean I'm slacking off, okay? I'm not. I'm still working on it. But I don't have the desire to do it anymore because it's been so long and I'm so close to the end. I will do a good job on that paper, and I will do the best I can on that final, because I want to have good grades. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, which I never thought that I was a perfectionist, because I would look at people who struggle with perfectionism and they're always like, oh, no, this isn't good enough. This isn't good enough. And they're very uptight about it sometimes. And I didn't think that I had ever been like that. But apparently I have, because my version of perfectionism is to, even if I write a fantastic paper, something that gets me an A, because I normally get A's, I will look at that paper, or I'll look at the project once it's done, and I know objectively it's a good paper. But what I tell myself is, it's a good paper, but you didn't do your best. Like that wasn't your best work. If you had been more prepared, if you had started this sooner, then it would be an even better paper. Which to me is like, it never occurred to me that was also perfectionism. And it totally is, because clearly my grades are fine. I don't need to beat myself up about the fact that I didn't start it sooner. In fact, this semester, despite being one of the hardest semesters ever, and me basically freaking out since September, I've had anxiety and stress, and I haven't been sleeping. I don't think last night I slept through the whole night until about 6:30. It's the first night that I haven't woken up in the middle of the night because I was stressed out in over a week, which is not really healthy. Just FYI, it's not great. So despite all of that, I finished all of the reading for this semester 2 weeks ago. All of it. I don't think that's ever happened before. So I finished it early. And so I don't know why we give ourselves such a hard time no matter what we're doing. Even if we're crocheting or knitting, you're going to look at it and be like, I see my mistakes, and no one else sees them. Everyone else is like, oh my gosh, you're doing such a great job. That shawl you made was beautiful. I don't know what you're talking about, that it has errors. If you're sewing something, you're like, all right, here you go, all the flaws. Don't judge it too harshly, but no one's judging it like that. The people that love you and the people that are around you supporting you, they are so appreciative that you took the time to make them something. And if you're in any kind of a situation where you've been working at something for a long time, like a degree, or you have a career path that you're trying to get to, or anything, it can be really draining to talk to yourself in a negative manner. So I'm trying to adopt a rule that if I would not say it to my best friend, I'm not going to say it to myself. If I look in the mirror and I'm like, man, you look fat today, I would never say that or even think that about my best friend. Why would I say that to myself? It doesn't make any sense. So if I know that I've worked really hard on a project, whether it be crochet or whether it be for something for school, and I wouldn't say to my best friend, you didn't do your best, that's not good enough, because I know that it is the best and it is good enough, then I'm not allowed to say that to myself either. And let me tell you, that's a really hard thing to do. Do you know that like 80% of the thoughts we have in a given day are negative? Negative. 80%? That's insane. Only 20% of the time are we thinking something positive. Instead, we're always judging and criticizing. And one of the things this semester that has really affected me was in one of my classes, we were doing some spiritual formation practices, and then fasting was a part of that. Now, generally, fasting involves abstaining from food for a certain period of time so that you take that time that you were eating or preparing food and instead spend that time in prayer and meditation and study. And it also takes the focus off of we need this, we need this, we need this to survive, and instead focuses on the idea that God is the sustainer, not us, not anything we can do. So normally you abstain from food. However, there was a new concept brought up to me this semester, and I tried it a couple of days, and that is fasting from being critical. That is so much harder, because all of these thoughts we have are negative all the time. We're just so negative. And whereas I can be like, oh, yep, didn't eat breakfast, check, doing great on this fast. It's really hard to fast from being critical, because no sooner have I said, oh no, I can't say that, that's mean, then another thought is already popped out of my mouth. And I'm like, oh, that's a little... If I wouldn't say that to someone that I love and care about, if you wouldn't say it to your spouse or your partner, if you wouldn't say it to your children, then don't say it to yourself. If someone is being mean to you, yourself included, you have the right to put your foot down and say, no, I don't talk to my friends that way. So be a friend to yourself, is what I'm saying. I don't really know where I was going with that. That was a very long tangent about being critical and having anxiety. I have not had any crochet time in the last entire week, and I probably will continue to not have crochet time until next Friday when this is all over. And it's so close. It's so close. And I'm so excited, and I just feel so blessed because I get to do something with my life now that I've been working towards for years. And it's just such an incredible opportunity. And I'm going to stop because I'm going to cry now. I'm just feeling really positive. Despite all of this crazy stress and anxiety going on in my life, I'm feeling so positive and so thankful. And you guys are a huge part of that, because I've met so many wonderful people through this podcast, and I have so many new yarn friends now. And I don't think in a single episode since the very first one, I've received one negative comment. You guys are the most supportive, most caring, kindest people that I have ever had the opportunity to interact with. And this is something that really fills my tank. It gives me joy. It calms me down. And I just really love that we get to share this time together. I love coming here to talk to you. I love talking about yarn. I love crochet. I have a passable relationship with knitting. As many of us do. And just like many of you, I crochet so I won't unravel. So, from the bottom of my heart, I know I've said this before, but I mean it. And I want you to know that if you are struggling or you are having any negative self-talk right now, if maybe this is a hard time of year for you because of the weather or because of family issues, that it doesn't matter. You're important. You're important to me. You're important to God. You're valuable. What you're doing is worth it. Don't be mean to yourself. Be a best friend to yourself and stop saying negative things, okay? Okay. I feel like I could keep talking forever, but this episode's probably getting a little long, so I'm gonna stop rambling and going off on tangents now. If you enjoyed this episode, give me a thumbs up. If you'd like to stay updated on any future episodes that are uploaded onto YouTube, hit the subscribe button down below, and I will be back in 2 weeks with hopefully a lot more yarny content. Not so much showing yarn, but showing projects that have been made with yarn. And hopefully in the meantime, I'll be able to upload some Vlogmas videos as well and improve my skills, because let me just say, one of them I've been editing them on my phone and uploading it, and the video was sideways and I couldn't fix it. So I don't know. Obviously I need to get better at this. So until next time, happy crafting, Merry Christmas. If you don't celebrate Christmas, then I hope that you still have a most wonderful December, and that you get to spend time with family and friends, and that you get to do something that brings you joy. All right. Bye.